Yeah, I've been impressed with what Checkster offers because the value system is the same as it is with top grading, and that's to elevate truth, to get the truth out about candidates. And we're working against some very powerful forces. Every book on how to get a job says to hide positives and conceal negatives. And a huge issue is that people know they're not going to be reference checked. That's what they think. Checkster has a solution to that. So do we in top grading, and these blend together very nicely. Most large companies have company policies that prohibit managers from taking reference calls. What Checkster does is make the reference check into a, quote, 360. And it's for real, a 360 for developmental purposes, but it also enables you as an employer to get good information about candidates because they're just asking maybe former employers, peers and subordinates and bosses and so forth to complete a developmental 360 on them. Those individuals don't have to know the person's a candidate for a job anywhere. So that's perfectly reasonable. And where Checkster seems to fit in so well is after maybe the first round of interviews, if the employer, that's you, is pretty interested in moving forward with a candidate, at that point the candidate's probably willing to, frankly, have emails go out to a bunch of people he or she has worked with in the past and complete the short form. It doesn't take them much time, but they don't want to be doing that unless you as the employer are reasonably serious about it. That seems to work very well. So I like the whole value system around it is elevating truth. So as employers, we get more of the correct information about people, and ultimately that's going to lead to a significantly higher success rate in hiring people. What Checkster assumes is what I assume, and that is, I know it's awfully trite, it's a truism that past behavior predicts future behavior. Trouble is, research we've conducted during the past 35 years with well over 65,000 case studies shows that, frankly, almost all companies experience only about a 25% success rate in hiring. That means about 25% of the people hired turn out to be not just adequate, but high performers. Okay, another 50% might be disappointing, but not so disappointing, we'd fire them, and the bottom 25%, really pretty bad. A lot of hiring seems to focus on traits, and someone can make a heck of a positive impression, but not be very good. And so top grading is all about nailing down every success, every accomplishment, okay, every failure, every mistake. And what the top grading methodology does is very similar to what Checkster wants to do through the reference checking methodology, and that's looking at performance. What you want to hire is people who have somehow shown the resourcefulness to overcome barriers to success. Okay? So they have a track record, a pattern of snatching success out of the jaws of defeat. Time and time again. They make relationships work. They make the job successful. Every job has challenges, and there are good reasons to not succeed, but high performers manage to do that. And everyone can make a mistake and have a lousy boss, and so forth. Granted. But what Checkster is looking for is what we look for. We want to see about a 90% hiring success rate, and the only way that that can be done on this planet is to really get good information about performance, actual achievement. Traits are not insignificant, but boy, if you base your hiring criteria on traits, not going to get better than a 25% success rate. Instead, have reference checks and interviews focus on accomplishments, successes, and failures and mistakes, and you look for patterns of success. That will serve you well. If I were a recruiter, and I think I understand what Checkster is all about, and I were going to present the suggestion to my boss that we should use Checkster, I would say, hey, Our general assumption around here is that reference checks are kind of worthless because the candidates pick the people they'll let us talk with. They're buddies. So we kind of go through the motions, but we really don't get much of value. All right? But if we can get to former bosses in reference checks, and we have questions that make sense, that focus on accomplishments and successes, and would you rehire and so forth, now that's different, okay? And that's what Checkster offers. And so just laying out, here's what it costs, here's what you do. It only takes a couple minutes, and then the individual takes all the time to get the former bosses and peers and subordinates to participate in this. I've tried it a couple times. I'm impressed. We're getting more information that we then validate, frankly, in our face-to-face interviews. And I'm convinced that this absolutely shows that reference checks can be beneficial, even though most companies have policies against managers giving out reference information. This gets around that. And it frankly benefits the high performers, the sharp people we want to hire. It helps them to stand out in relation to the C players, the underperformers, who kind of blend in with the high performers when we don't do proper reference checking.